Okay, internally screaming right now because this is my first official video, even though I made this channel almost a year ago now. Kind of crazy. But I have been posting pretty frequently on TikTok. If you guys don't follow me on there, I'm under the same name. It might be the Book Bitch Bestie. You'll find me. Or if not, that's fine too. I just wanted to come on here to hate about this series of books that I have read. I've had the greatest misfortune of my life to find these books and read every single one of them. And I know that makes it seem like, oh, maybe she's joking around. Maybe these books are not as bad. Maybe she thought these books were going to be bad and then devoured the entire series because they were so good. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, these were the worst books I've ever read in my entire life, but I read them all for you guys. The series is called the Cocky Kingsman series. It's not a bad title. Cocky Kingsman, it tells you like, oh, they're arrogant, they're so self-assured, they're probably pretty hot, and they are. It's a group of 7 brothers who are all siblings. They're all professional football players. All 7 of them are professional football players. And they're modeling part-time on the side, and they're also like movie stars. And for some reason in this universe that the author has created, they're A-list celebrities. The author of the series is Amy Award. If you guys are not familiar with her, she writes a lot of self-satisfying, over-the-top, delusional, self-serving romance books. And that's not being mean. I'm not bullying her by saying this. She says the same thing to the same effect at the very beginning of every one of her books in this series. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, if you have to have a disclaimer at the beginning of every one of your books saying like, hey guys, don't take this book too seriously. This book is just fluff. This book is just meant to make you feel good. It makes me feel good. I wrote this just for myself because I thought it was fun. Then you might not have a good book on your hands. That's all I'm saying. You might not have a well-written book. The first book, I have a huge problem with. The second book, I have a huge problem. The third book, I have a huge problem. Every single book in the series, I have a huge problem with. This book wants to be really sweet, wants to make you believe like, oh, plus size women can get the hottest guy in the entire world and he'll love her unconditionally, devoutly, sincerely. And that's great, but I don't think these books do what they're supposed to do. I don't think it gives women that confidence. I don't think it leads into any of that actually, because none of these men care for the women for who they actually are. Every single one of these characters has an inner monologue all the time where they're over-sexualizing these women. Oh, because every single brother wants a plus-size woman. And that kind of gets into something else, which I'm not entirely comfortable with, which is kind of like the, like the BBW fetish. It's feeling very much like that in all the books. I keep saying especially the first book, but it's because, when you read a series, the first one that you read of the series tends to stay with you more than the other ones, especially if you know what to expect from the other ones, then you kind of start to glaze over, and that's how my mind feels right now. By the time I was done with this series, I was very smooth brain, okay? I was not in a good place. Please give me some better content because I'm not gonna make it. Thankfully we did. We came out of it, and here I am today to talk about my own journey, my own suffering with this. The first book, what started this whole thing, what started this whole tirade that we're on right now, is called The Cock Down the Block. I love alliteration. This makes it seem like, oh, it's already the spice level is gonna be up here to the max, off the screen, off the charts. No, the cock that the book is referring to is the main female character's rooster who lives in her backyard, whose name is Luke Skycocker. Because we didn't have enough. Because it wasn't enough. We need to really push this. It's not enough that he's a rooster. It's not enough that the title of the book is a play on words about the rooster living with her. We also needed his name to be Luke Skycocker because she loves Star Wars, because she's a librarian who for some reason wears pinup girl dresses, even though she expresses that she's not very confident with herself because of the line of work her mother was in before, which, by the way, her mom is a retired corn star. perfectly respectable. She went on to become a sex therapist, an intimacy therapist, and now travels the world. Honestly, if the book had been about her mom's exploits, different book for sure. I think it might have been better. It might have been more interesting. I think there might have been more material to build off of if we're following this intimacy coach around, because instead we're left with her daughter, who, even though everybody says is the most beautiful goddess-like woman in the entire world, with long flowing hair, a gorgeous rounded buttocks, shapely woman, beautiful in every single way imaginable, she's not very sure of herself. And for her mom to help build her confidence, she sends her toys from all over the world. And the way she sends them is not like, daughter, I read an interesting article about this. I thought it was really interesting. No, it's her mom sends it to her unprompted, no note. She just gets a box at her door and it starts vibrating because her mom sent her. If you get a toy and it's rattling around in a box and it starts moving on its own, that means that it's not packaged and that it was previously used. So her mom is not only sending her sex toys in the mail, she's sending her used sexual toys in the mail, in USPS. So the post office has to deal with this too. And being a postal worker, having to be like, hey Trixie, got another Whopper for you in the mail today. Your mom must be having a good time, huh? In Tahiti. So she's already dealing with this. But now we have to deal with her upcoming high school reunion. And high school was not a good time for Trixie. She might be a librarian now, she might have it all together now, and she might like to wear her 50s style pinup dresses, but she wasn't always the goddess that she is today. Because in high school, she was made fun of a lot by one girl and like two of her friends. The two friends didn't really make fun of her. It was really just this one girl that was like, wow, I can't believe how confident you are considering your plus size.
Okay.
That's it. That's like the extent of the ridiculing that this no life woman did to her. But it affected her greatly, and so she's like not looking forward to her high school reunion, and she's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm gonna go to the high school reunion alone and a virgin.
I don't have a boyfriend.
So she gets the idea to ask her neighbor. This leads us to Chris, who is a professional football star for an NFL team. He's like 7 feet tall, super built, and has been in love with Trixie his entire life. The trope of this book is friends to lovers. That is the trope that is tagged on, is friends to lovers. There is absolutely nothing in the book world that I hate more than a fake friends to lovers trope. And that's exactly what this is. Because it's very obvious from the very beginning, like the first opening sentence of this book, that they are not friends. Why do they do that? Why do they insist on pushing this on us? Like I've been in love with her my whole entire life, but she doesn't like me. I'm just her friend. That's all I'll ever be. God, I love that ass. It's just so over the top. The inner dialogue that happens in this series. And what I said was not even dramatized. I'm not overplaying it too much, because that is like the dialogue he says in the book. He's like, oh, I'm such a gentleman and I want to respect her wishes and do whatever she wants and support her in every way that I can, as the true gentlemanly friend that I am. But damn, when she bends down and I see her thick thighs and those polka dot panties, oh man, I have to think about football before I cream my pants like a 13-year-old. Why does this exist? So she thinks about her best friend, because that's all they are, is best friends. She thinks about him and she's like, oh, maybe he can be my fake date for the reunion. So she goes to him and she's like, hey, I promise it's not real. I promise we're not really going to be dating. I'm not asking you out. I just want you to be my fake boyfriend for this high school reunion. And he's like, oh yeah, here's my chance. Here's my chance to make sure that I can get her to fall in love with me and see me as more than just a friend. This is giving me heartburn. So they start fake dating and they're immediately over the top. It's so gross. They are making everybody around them uncomfortable. Everybody that they know and they talk to and they see, they're just immediately uncomfortable because they're so over-sexual with one another, even though they're not really dating. He invites her over to a game night at his family's house. And when their team starts winning, he's like, ooh, let's celebrate. Come here, sit on my lap. You're so funny. Excuse me. The only man that can ask me to sit on his lap that I'm not gonna marry is Santa Claus, okay? If one of my male friends tries to ask me to sit on his lap, you're done. You're cooked. I'm kicking your ass. My fiance's kicking everybody. We're going down the line. Actually, we're gonna line up down the street. You start walking, you're done. It's just so repulsive that these two friends are acting like this in front of everybody. It's so ow. And they continue this, and then they get to the reunion. The high school bully is there, and she has brought Trixie's ex-boyfriend from high school as her date. Why? Why are you so worried about Trixie's ex? How did we get here? Why is this girl got no life? So she brings Trixie's ex-boyfriend. Trixie's ex-boyfriend is talking to Chris, the football player, and is like, hey, let me know if you hit that yet, because when I was with her back in high school, when she was a child, she was all prudish, didn't let me get none. Me and all the other exes that she dated, we talk about how she never let us hit that. Excuse me? You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Why are you talking about this? Why is this coming up in any conversation? Who does that? This is like Scott Pilgrim versus the world, okay? He sought out all of her exes, and now they have the League of Evil Exes talking about her all the time. Do they meet up every week to talk about how much they hate her and how she ruined their lives because she wouldn't give it up to them? Which, by the way, at this point in the book, when they're at the reunion, Trixie and Chris have already been getting it on, even though they're fake dating. They've already been getting it on. And Trixie was a virgin, which that is another disgusting trope that I hate. If you're going to play the B card in a romance book, you need to play it very sincerely. You need to be very careful with what you're doing. And they play it very loosey-goosey in this book. As the author herself said, this is just fluff. Reed's very icky. The stuff that he does to her is very icky. Chris gives me the ick. Also, at this point in the book, we've already met her creepy boss at the library. Her manager is disgusting. He is sexually harassing her the entire time. He even meets Chris, the football player, and brings him into his office and is like, hey, so are the stories true? You know, is she as good as her mom was? What? FBI, open up! No, immediately call the police. This man is doing illegal things. This man needs to be in jail immediately. Who does that? Who does that? Who does that though? So many things with this book. They're at the reunion. Chris tries to control himself. For some reason, he's very quick on the trigger, quick to fly off the handle. This guy is talking about Trixie. I'm gonna kill him. You need to calm down. As creepy as Trixie's boss is at the library, he's nowhere near as creepy as Chris actually is. And the fact that this is Trixie's love interest is really alarming and raises a lot of red flags, because the way he talks about her is so unhinged and has such a dual. Like, this man must have multiple personalities, because outwardly he's always like, Trixie, it's whatever you want, okay? Your enthusiastic acceptance, your enthusiastic yes is all I seek. As long as you say yes and you're excited about what we're gonna do, that's all I want. That's all I want in life, is to make you happy. That's all I've ever wanted, because I'm in love with you. You're the one, baby. It's you. And then in his head, oh man, I'm gonna choke her with this mess. Just so gross. It's so gross. And he thinks about her like that all the time. When she's crying, when she's at like the lowest point in her life, he's like, oh man, choke her with. Why? Why is he like this? Also, it's so bad. One of the reasons he's like so in love with her is because she reminds him so much of his mom, who died, who was also plus size. And like the dad brings it up, and like the siblings bring it up. They're like, yeah, she's like mom. She's so pretty. Why? I hate it. So at the reunion, she's struggling. She's having this breakdown. And to make her feel better, take into account everything I've already told you about this man, make her feel better at her lowest point, where she's like having a breakdown at the reunion, he takes her into a locker room and proceeds to just do the most filthy, disgusting, unwarranted things to her in the high school boys' locker room. Because that's the kind of guy he is. He just wants to make her feel better. So obviously, it was recorded. I say obviously, but that's obviously for this world. Obviously for this book and these people, the way they are, the way their logic works, the bully had to record it. She puts it out online. Doesn't even get money for it. Like, girl, if you're going to record a celebrity, if you're going to record a professional football player getting down and dirty, you better be taking it to the media and have a price point. Especially for that kind of content. You need a No. She posts it everywhere. Everybody sees it. His family freaks out. His agent gets it all taken down. They wake up the next day not even knowing what happened. Her boss calls her in at the library and he's like, "This is not the kind of reputation our library needs." Excuse me, sir? We all know what you're doing on your lunch break. You need to be in jail.
You need to leave.
And he fires her. And she's like, "Oh no, what am I gonna do? I'm fired." And she doesn't argue and she doesn't say, "Hey, you can't fire me." She does for like a split second. She's like, "Wait, but I've had the best reviews in the library for the past 7 years. How can you just fire me?" And he's like, "Oh, this is Colorado. This is a right to work state, so we could fire anybody without any reason at all. So bye." No. Because if that were the case, there was no way you would be the library manager right now. You would have been on the street. But she accepts it. She goes home. She's crying. She's crying to her boyfriend. She's like, "I won't be able to pay my rent. My rent is so expensive and I won't be able to afford it." And he's like, "Oh, well, if you don't want to pay any rent anymore, just don't. Just don't pay the rent." And she's like, "What do you mean? That's not how it works. You're so dumb." Did I forget to tell you that I actually own all the houses on this block, including yours? How do you rent a house from somebody and not know who the owner is? For a librarian, she's not the brightest bulb. She didn't do her research. So he owns all the houses on the block, and yet he was making her pay rent this entire time. He was making her pay rent the entire time, but he owns all the houses on the block. And now that she can't work because she got caught doing the nasty with him, now he's saying, "Oh, you don't have to pay rent anymore because I own all the houses and you actually never had to pay rent. But I'm such a good guy." And she's like, "No, I still want to pay rent, but I love you." Why? What is that? That's fake. If my man tells me that I don't have to pay rent or any bills ever again for the rest of my life, thank you. So we find out who sent out the video of them together in the locker room. Guess what? It was the high school bully. The high school bully who her only kind of mean thing that she ever did was tell this woman, like, "I'm surprised you're so confident in yourself because you're pretty overweight." And then also recording her and putting her sexual exploits on national TV. Gets her locked up in prison. So then we get to her boss and we get an update on him about how he has been doing illegal activities on the work computers, but he's been using Trixie's work computer to try to cover his tracks, except that he was using his own credit card for the illegal activities. And it doesn't disclose what activities these were, but I think we all know. I think it's pretty obvious that he had some weird infatuation with Trixie and her mom based on all of his unhinged comments in the rest of the book. The book ends with them coming out. The video that has been put out everywhere is cleared up. The whole problem that everybody had with this video is not that they were getting freaky in a high school kid's locker room. That's what I'm upset with. That's what I find to be that's a big problem. Excuse me. That's a big problem. But everyone else is like, are they dating or not? Because we know that they're friends. And if they're not dating, then that's wrong. They should not be doing that. Going around doing all these nasty things to girls if he's not gonna be faithful to them. That's why we don't like this. And her being all promiscuous with him when they're not even dating, that's a problem. And so then they come out with a press release and they're like, "Guess what? We're really dating. Not only that, we're in love and we're gonna get married." Problem solved. We love you guys. You're the best. Reliving these books now. This is just the first one. I read 5 of them. Just reliving this first one, I feel my brain smoothing out. So smooth. I feel like a pebble. And I've been placed in a rock tumbler. And it's going... And there's no more ideas. I'm gonna go read 3 Body Problem again. Try to get some of my brain back. Maybe I'll go read a textbook. Save yourself some time. Save yourself some aggravation. And don't read these. This is just the first one. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about the other ones. I guess I will. Tell you what. If I get 100 new followers from this video, then I will post consecutive videos for the other books in this series. The world did not ask for these and did not need these, and I would personally like for them to be taken back. Please take them back. Go. Go away.
Read some books!
Eventually I will talk about good books.